Guys, we are coming to you live Monday night with the real Rick Glaser. Well, and we're going to talk about the Benavidez Morrell pay-per-view numbers, all this and more on the latest edition of War of Week Boxing.
How you doing? You too can smell manly if you listen to Real Talk with Rick Glaser.
Thank you, Mr. Balboa. We appreciate it. And guys, once again, this always brought to you by Affordable Dentures, now being brought to you by also the Gomez Law Firm. Guys, Gomez Law fights. Find out how they can fight for you by looking at GomezLawFights.com, the best personal injury attorney in the entire country. So now that we have that out of the way, Rick, how are you doing today, brother? Good to see you, my friend.
Thank you for having me. And Super Bowls last night wasn't so super, but here we are today.
Brother, I'm sorry. You had to feel okay about watching the Philadelphia Eagles beat up on your Buffalo Bills nemesis, Kansas City Chiefs, and you had to feel good about all the boos right in Taylor Swift's face, man.
Man. That was unreal.
Now, I tell you what, though, Rick, and look, I'm sorry, but I already know this for a fact that Josh Allen and your Buffalo Bills would have put up a much better fight last night.
Yeah, you would have thought so anyways, for sure.
Well, I tell you what, guys.
It couldn't have been worse.
Oh, boy, that was a slaughter.
You realize something? Forget about those 18 points, okay? 22 points. Remember something about those 22 points. 16 of them were scored when the game was out of control.
Yeah.
Okay.
Those were champagne points, is what I like to call them.
In truth, okay, it was 34-0 before they even had a scoreboard. You know something that all the announcers did miss it last night, but nobody wrote about it. Travis Kelce didn't catch a pass in that game until 2 minutes to go in the third quarter.
Oh boy. Yeah, I'll tell you what. Where was the offensive line? They shut them down completely, Big Rick.
Yeah, well, it looked like Kansas City had no offensive line. I mean, Mahomes was sacked 2 or 3 times right in a row, running for his life.
It was a horror show, an absolute horror show. I'll tell you what. Well, guys, we're not here to talk about the Super Bowl. And as you've seen on the title and the thumbnail, we're here to talk about Benavidez versus David Morrell. Their pay-per-view numbers. Guys, so let's not beat around the bush. Here it goes.
Maybe, just maybe, it's time for Rick Glaser's Twitter watch. Bang!
And you said this, Rick. I guess about, I don't know, an hour ago or so.
A couple hours ago, yeah.
Sorry, about 5:30. My apologies. You said, finally, here it is. You've seen a lot of phony pay-per-view boxing buy numbers for Benavidez Morrell on social media, floated to the media by PPC operatives, and put out there by the normal suspects. In truth and reality, it did barely under 70K pay-per-view buys. Now you do know. Rick, everyone is reporting between 150 and 160,000.
Mm-hmm.
And in my opinion, and once again, so remind us once again how you get your pay-per-view numbers and why
I've been getting my numbers since July of 2014 from the Floyd Gaddy fight, and through a friend of mine. I would develop a friendship with him. Obviously, he's a LA-based entertainment attorney. He gets all the numbers and everything. If it's on TV streaming and it's in the United States, he gets the numbers automatically. He doesn't even have to look into it. So there you go.
And there it is, guys. There it is. I tell you what. Yeah. Yeah, guys. Rick's number is legit. Once again, but here's the better question, Rick.
Mm-hmm.
Does this even matter? Do these numbers even matter at this juncture? PBC is
well, if it would have done real good numbers, it could have maybe kept in business a little while longer. Whenever they do go out, they're going to go out, just a matter of when.
Well, the reason why I'm asking you that, and once again, yeah, if it's a colossal hit, like if it does over 1 million, but we already knew that wasn't a possibility. So I guess at this juncture, with Canelo signing a 4-fight deal with Turki Al-Sheikh, is this pretty much done for PBC once and for all? Because who do they have?
Not much. Tank, but everybody steals his pay-per-views. His numbers aren't that good.
Well, let's just face it. Tank Roach makes Canelo Berlanga look like a damn Sugar Ray Leonard versus Tommy Hearns.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, guys. So I don't really think it matters at this juncture of PBC's tenure in boxing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so what's next? We've got Tank Davis on March 1st versus Lamont Roach, and well, let's just face it, no one cares. Everyone's buzzing about this fight card on the 22nd.
Yep.
And so what's next after? Because what did you hear? What was going on with the Jake Paul thing, and then Turki Al-Sheikh? What happened? And then Jake Paul's trying to insist that they have a contract with Canelo Alvarez, but that turns out that it's not true. What happened here, Rick, to your best recollection and knowledge?
I'm not saying that Canelo used Jake Paul to raise the offer to Turki Al-Sheikh. I'm not going to say that because I don't know that to be a fact. But Turki Al-Sheikh came up with more money, so maybe the result was the same, and came up with a 4-fight deal that he said, I'm going to sign this, where he was insisting I wasn't going to do any business with Turkey, and he was loyal to PBC just last week before all the shit hit the fan. But PBC was involved in this Jake Paul fight. He just got up and left everybody. So there must have been some serious money there.
Oh, yeah. The immortal words of Marlon Brando. Must have made him an offer he can't refuse.
Yep. Sure looks like that, doesn't it?
Oh, boy. I tell you what. And that is just maybe the final nail in the coffin. And Iceman, welcome to the show, sir. Good to see you, my brother in Christ. Good to see you, my brother. And thank you for praying with us before the Super Bowl, man. We really appreciated seeing you there. God bless you. And he says Canelo is smart. Well, but does that benefit?
Well, I don't know how smart he is. If I was him, I would have dished the PBC a long time ago.
Yeah. Well, that's you, though, Rick. But because let truth be known, he had a pretty sweet deal with Al Haymon and PBC. From what I was told, he had the Floyd Mayweather Jr. treatment, where he was getting a percentage of everything. But that's not the point right now, and there's no point in even talking about that. The point is, and here's the big question, yeah, it may be good for Canelo, but is this 4-fight deal good for the health of the sport in the American market if he's our biggest attraction fighting overseas 3 times in the next 2 years?
It's an interesting point, but just remember, if Crawford fights in Vegas, okay, that's already been determined,
Amen.
and unless they both agree to move the fight to like San Antonio or Dallas or something like that, or Staples Center, whatever, or outdoor football stadium in California, but that's supposed to be etched in stone. So if Crawford wins, he's not going to go to Saudi Arabia with the rematch. So the second fight, the second and third fights would be over here. So you really don't know. You may never even get to a fourth fight if Crawford was to beat him twice. I know people think I'm crazy that I'm picking Crawford, but believe me, I've had a lot of winners before that were upsets, including I had Pacquiao over Oscar. I've had an awful lot of them. So I really like Crawford in the fight, and I could see Crawford winning, and I could see Crawford winning the rematch.
Where would this rank in terms of elite level upsets all throughout history?
It really wouldn't, because
quite a few of them at the elite level.
I can't see it being higher than 5 or 6 to 1. So it's not crazy. Wouldn't be a crazy upset. I mean, it's not going to be like James DeGale and the Caleb whatever from Minnesota.
I'm talking about super fights, Big Rick.
Like
you brought up Manny Pacquiao, Oscar De La Hoya. Would this be considered a bigger upset than that?
Yes, because they're in 4 different weight classes. So I would say yes. Mm-hmm.
I tell you what. You know what I'm going to do, guys? I'm going to see if he can do this. I'm not sure if he can, and guys, this is just for G Funky. G Funky, if you can click on that, we will get the show and get the band back together, because we have Rick Glaser on for another 12 minutes. But I tell you what, 12 or 15 minutes, something like that. And G Funky says Crawford has the ability to win, but I don't think he can. And would like to hear your opinion in length with that. Now, Rick, what do you see? Because you have a keen matchmaker's eye.
The 2 big advantages that Canelo has are physical strength and power, but he hasn't knocked out anybody in a long time. Olanga got knocked down, got up. He hasn't knocked out a guy since Caleb Plant in 2021. That's 4 years.
Indeed.
Okay, so the power is not what it was, because he doesn't have the speed and he doesn't have the legs like he did. I believe that Crawford's balance great balance will and ability to wrestle on the inside will offset some of the strength that Canelo has. I think that Crawford's physically faster on it with hands, faster with feet, more agility, more nimble with his feet. I believe that his ring IQ is higher. He can switch lefty to righty, seamlessly. And I think that Canelo's going to have a very hard time dealing with the switching and the in and out of Crawford. And I really believe that Crawford will win this fight. The only 2 advantages that Canelo has is strength and power. Now, you talk about size. He's only 5'7". Now, if he was fighting Benavidez, talking about Crawford, that's a different issue, because he's 6'3". Crawford's 5'8.5". He's taller. He's got much longer arms than Canelo. Canelo's got stumps for arms. If you look at him real close, he's got stumps. Crawford steps in and out and around better. Okay, and I just think that I can see this fight being like a Barrera, Hasim Hamed type of fight.
You know what, Big Rick, and once again, there's a reason why we all see. There's a reason why they fight the fights. so we can all see how they play out. Until then, it's very hard to predict an elite level match of nature because, once again, this is the theater of the unexpected. We'll see what happens, guys. But right now,
And
yeah,
sometimes it's the theater of the absurd.
yeah. Well, yeah. When we talk about Berlanga versus Gonzalez Ortiz, yeah, we'll talk about that. But I will say this right now, brother, on Box.live, which usually posts accurate odds on the average, right?
Yep.
Right now, Canelo is only listed as a minus 190.
Oh, there you go.
It's a plus 150. Rick, that's almost even money, giving Canelo only a 60% chance of winning.
Yeah, I'm telling you, he could. Crawford. People don't get how great. People say his resume. People didn't want to fight him. Danny Garcia didn't want to fight him. Spence in his heyday wanted. Mikey Garcia, Pacquiao didn't want to fight him. Mikey Garcia, Keith Thurman didn't want to fight him. You can't. This is how good this fighter was, and is. People aren't getting it. His resume can also be judged by who he feels to fight him. There you go. I mean, Sean Porter finally fought him. Sean Porter turned that fight down 5 times before he finally took the fight when he was a mandatory. I'm telling you, people aren't getting it.
I tell you what, guys, it's great to always a joy to share the air with this gentleman, my partner in crime, and we're getting the band back together, Rick. The incomparable G Funky Boxing. Welcome to the show, sir.
Hey, how's everybody doing?
Woo! Good to see you, my friend. I tell you what. You know what? This is. I need to wipe my eyes here. They're getting teary-eyed. We've got G Funky Boxing and Rick Glaser back on the show at the same time. This is absolutely incredible. G Funky, what are your thoughts, and why did you say you didn't think that Crawford was going to win this fight?
Well, first thing I want to say is you got to pardon some background noise. I'm doing the parental thing at the same time. But no, look, I listened to what Rick said, and you know what? He's right about a lot of that stuff that he said with Terrence Crawford, man. His style, it can definitely give Canelo a lot of problems, man. Like you pointed out, the hand speed, he's got quicker feet. He can switch southpaw orthodox very well. He's physically strong for his size. I don't know if he's stronger than Canelo, but he does have a lot of strength. We've seen that with his wrestling background. We've seen him deadlifting 400 something pounds. I mean, he's strong, you know. I think the problem that he's going to run into, man, is just I think it's the power and the really great timing that Canelo has on his punches, man. I don't know if he can go a full 12 round without getting clipped with something big. And you know, Canelo can still punch, man. I know he hasn't knocked anybody out in a while, but he's putting these guys down, you know, and these are naturally much bigger guys than Crawford. So I do think that it's going to be one of those fights where Canelo's going to have to find a way to get him in a position to land something big, because I don't think Crawford's going to stand right there in front of him. He's gonna be on his toes, you know, and I think I've heard Bomac say that as well when somebody asked him about, you know, a possible strategy for Canelo, which I think is the right thing. But at the end of the day, I just think that the timing and the power of Canelo is going to catch him at some point, man. And, you know, I don't know if he's going to be able to take it, man. We'll see, though.
Well, I tell you what, guys, there's only one way to find out, and I can't wait. We're going to get it in September. Thank you, Turkey Al-Sheikh. We appreciate it. But, Rick, your thoughts on Canelo Alvarez versus William Skull? I mean, come on, admit it. I think I'd rather see at this point Jake Paul versus Canelo Alvarez, just to see the YouTube troll, the internet troll, get his comeuppance. What say you?
What part? What do you want me to answer? I'm a little stymied what you're saying.
William Skull, your thoughts on that fight?
Well, William Skull is a good fighter. He's a slick Cuban. He can box. Got good foot speed. Good, very nimble on his feet. Good hand speed, and he's going to pose some problems. I don't know if he can take a punch. You know, he's never fought that kind of serious competition to take how good a punch he takes. I don't know. He beat a legitimate guy in the eliminator. What do I think? I think that Canelo should win, and Crawford will be fighting for the undisputed. As Crawford put up on the internet last night or the night before, what he put was, he says, "Oh, good. I'm glad we're going to be fighting for. I'll be glad I'll be winning my third undisputed title." So,
Well, I
that's
tell you
the
what,
story.
you gotta love his confidence, Rick. But what are the chances? Are we going to see another Oscar De La Hoya versus Felix Sturm? What are the chances of William Skull actually overturning the apple cart here?
Well, Skull is a Cuban that fights out of Germany. He fled Cuba, so he's not really a German. But I like the comparison, anyways. I don't think there'll be an upset. I don't see that happening.
Wow, I guess we just lost G Funky. I guess he had to tend to his parental duties. Well, we hope to have him back very soon. You know what? Yeah, Canelo, unless he's fallen off a cliff, which happens occasionally. Rick, what is the worst instance or example that you've seen in a fighter growing old seemingly overnight?
Well, Donald Curry, when he fought Lloyd Hunnigan, didn't grow old overnight. He was weight drained, but that'll happen. That'll happen. I've seen fighters grow. Like look at Otto Wallin the other day. He looked like he was ancient.
Yeah,
I mean,
he looked terrible.
He looked terrible. No legs at all. No punch resistance. He was terrible.
Are we going to see that with Joe Joyce and Dillian White, sir?
Oh, you guys falling all over the. Oh my God, is that going to be sloppy? Oy.
Well, you forgot the "vey" at the end of it. Oy vey.
Oy vey.
Oh, it was a Stunde. I tell you what, Rick, we only have a couple more minutes left with you, my friend, and we want to thank you for gracing the airwaves with us. Brother, what is this all about? Can you explain this? Because I think you've got the inside track here. Edgar Berlanga is gonna return next month against undefeated Jonathan Gonzalez Ortiz at 168 pounds, but it's going to be on the undercard of Ammo Williams.
Yeah, I guess.
Ammo Williams versus guy who mowed my grass the other day.
No. Patrice Volney is a decent fighter. That's not true.
Volney, my apologies. To be honest, I had forgotten who was fighting. But he's going to be in the co-main event. He goes from being the headliner in one of the biggest selling pay-per-view last year to being second fiddle to Ammo Williams. What is going on here, Rick? You have the explanation.
Well, I think it's a reflection on the opponent more or less than Edgar Berlanga, that the guy ain't much. He's a 35-year-old nothing, and he's had a long career. He turned pro in 2009. He's had a 16-year pro career, and he's now 35 years old, and he's like a 35-year-old prospect. Never fought a live body. So,
and you said something very interesting. Is this the last fight in Edgar Berlanga's contract?
Yeah, I'm told it is. Yep, I'm told it is.
What do you think he does, Rick, when this contract is up after this next fight?
I don't know. Don't know.
Well, who cares? Either way, he's going to be competing on DAZN, right?
Well, so is everybody. So is everybody.
That's what
Joe, if you throw a punch at me, it'll end up on DAZN.
And there is. And Big Luke, my favorite lawn guy, he says, "Hey, these lawn men are tougher than you think." My brother in Christ, Big Luke, good to see you, my friend.
Listen, real, a true story. You ready? Back in the 2000s, we're doing a show up in Don King is doing a show up in what do you call it, in Hoffman Estates outside of Chicago, and a guy had just moved there from Texas actually, and he was a CEO of a company, and and he called up the local landscaping company. He said, "Listen, I just bought this house. I need a landscaping company, but no Mexicans." What do you mean no Mexicans? No Mexicans. He says, if you don't want your grass cut by Mexicans, it's going to be 10 feet tall, your grass, by the end of the summer. He says, no Mexicans. He says, why? He says, because he says when the last Mexican gardener ran off for my first wife.
And there it is. There it is, brother. There it is.
Well, that's a good reason right there.
Well, I tell you what. I tell you what, man. One last thing. We're going to do one last Rick Glaser's Twitter watch to end the evening. Oh boy, Rick, you said this. Oh boy, this is 2 days ago, and you said this in an IBF heavyweight eliminator. First of all, why was this an IBF heavyweight eliminator? Derek Chisora versus Otto Wallin. Otto Wallin. Oh, anyway, he puts him on the deck twice and wins a one-sided UD12. Wallin is completely shot, including listless, needs to give up. Chisora's never in a bad fight. Yes, no, he's not. But Rick, I'm going to ask you this last question. Are we really going to have to see Anthony Joshua versus Derek Chisora this summer in the UK?
I have no idea. They're both shot. Who knows what's going to happen?
Yeah. Like, honestly, I think that I'm pretty sure that's what we're going to get. And let me ask you this. This was suggested by my brother Thomas Triver, who just got back into San Antonio, who did a great job on the Frank Warren show. And he was the ring announcer for Derek Chisora, Otto Wallin. He said this: if I had my druthers, if I were a matchmaker, I would put Derek Chisora in with Moses Italma. Now, once again, because he's looking for bigger paydays, that's not going to happen. But he goes, if you believe in Moses Italma, and that's the future of Frank Warren, Queensberry Promotions, that's the fight you make. Rick, would you convince Derek Chisora to take that torchbearer type fight?
If he can get just as much money for that fight as he could, if Frank would pay him that, as much as he could get for Anthony Joshua, why not? It's about money at this point for Chisora.
Yeah. Well, let's just face it. He's pretty much going to get the Anthony Joshua fight then.
Mm-hmm.
So who wins on the 22nd? Very quickly, Rick, before we let you go, who wins every single fight on the 22nd? Let's start with the main event. Beterbiev versus Bivol 2, the rematch.
Beterbiev.
Do you have a round prediction or did this?
No.
Straight up. Very good. Co-main event. Autistic Power, Daniel Dubois versus Joseph Parker.
Dubois by knockout.
Shakur Stevenson versus Floyd Schofield Jr.
Shakur by decision.
And let's see, Virgil Ortiz versus Israel Madrimov.
Fuck, anything can happen in that fight, but I like Virgil.
Okay, two more, brother, two more. Zhilei Zhang versus Ajit Kabayel. I love this fight.
I like Kabayel. He's a smooth boxer. He's fast. He's got a super high ring IQ. He doesn't seem to tire out. He's the same every round. I like him in the fight.
Very good. And last but definitely not least, Callum Smith versus Joshua Buatsi.
Joshua Buatsi.
Yeah, that's a tough one, but I like Joshua Buatsi as well. And here's a bonus round. Can Baranchyk pull off the upset against Keyshawn Davis?
No, Davis will win. He's going to be a star, that kid.
Yeah, he sure is. Oh, I'm sorry. You're right. Brother Sid says you forgot about Hamza Shiraz versus.
Yeah, Shiraz beats Adames maybe by knockout.
Yeah, Carlos Adames, very good. I take you to it. That's about it. We know you have another show to do in about 10 minutes. So, Rick, your parting shots sir.
Parting shots. Anybody can follow me on Twitter at Real Rick Glaser 1. It's a verified account. Be careful, there's a lot of fake ones out there, but it's a verified account. And I'll see you next Monday. Bye-bye.
Rick, thank you, brother, for being here.
Thank
All
you.
right, Rick. I'll be in touch soon, man.
I tell you what, guys, that was the Real Rick Glaser. And we want to thank him. And his segment was sponsored by Gomez Law Firm. For more information on the best personal injury attorney in the country, Go to GomezLawFights.com and see how Gomez Law can fight for you. And as usual, sponsored by also Affordable Dentures, guys, with over 280 locations nationwide. Chief Funky, how goes
Yes,
it, my
sir.
friend? It's good to see you, brother.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I'm glad to be here. Glad I got a chance to talk with Rick real briefly about the Canelo Terrence Crawford matchup in the early fall this year. And yeah, hey Alberto, man, I see your question there, man. I planned on going to that, man, but I'm just not going to be able to make it, unfortunately. But yeah, I was definitely looking forward to that, especially because, well, prior to a week ago when Lester Martinez decided to pull out of a fight with Doshan James again, yeah, we were all going to go there and hang out and stuff. But yeah, that's not going to happen this time. But I did plan on going, though.
Well, I'll tell you what, guys. There was a pro box event that was just in San Antonio. I wasn't able to go, and honestly, I forgot about it. So yeah, but I wish I had gone. According to most of my friends who were there, they said the performance of the night belonged to Justin Paldo, who just whooped Rakimov, Samson Lukowicz fighter. And they insist, several people who were ringside, they insist that he is a contender, and they wouldn't count him out against anyone in the 135-pound weight division, including Davis. And including Davis and Davis. What say you, my friend? Were you impressed?
Yeah, I thought it was a pretty good card, man. Pro Box making some moves, man. And yeah, to answer Alberto's question again. Sorry, Joey's asking a lot of questions.
No, that's all right, brother. It's all right.
Look, Gabe is a guy who, he's always in exciting fights. I was at his last fight back in October. And the fight, it turned into a pretty interesting fight down the stretch. It was only an 8-rounder. But early on, he was a little too quick for the guy. He was hitting him with a lot of good shots, but he just doesn't have that kind of power to keep a guy, honest. And that's kind of what happened in that fight. The guy started to come on late and kind of catch up with Gabe. But yeah, it should be a good fight, man. He's always in good fights. Also, a couple of other fighters that are going to be on that card to look out for, Alberto, is number one, Andrew Rodriguez from Salinas, California. I believe he's a bantamweight. This kid, in my opinion, man, he's got the goods. So check him out February 19th on Pro Box. And also, I don't know if she's going to be on the televised portion, but if you're going there live, Alberto, make sure you watch female fighter Jenna the Gem Creason from Visalia, California. A very accomplished young lady. She's only 18 years old, Joe, and she has already accomplished a lot of things in combat sports. And now she's this will be her third pro fight as a boxer. Check out my channel, guys. I interviewed her back in October, and she talks about all the stuff that she's done. But she's going to be on that card as well. I don't know if it's on the televised portion, but she will be there, and she's an exciting fighter.
That's right, guys. Please go subscribe if you haven't already to G Funky Boxing. We love his channel, and he is going to be covering, and he's got his finger on the pulse of everything boxing in the California area. And tell you what, guys, well, look, let's go back to this, though, and I want to get your thoughts. And there's a big fight card coming up this Friday, Valentine's Day.
Yes.
And in the main event of the evening, and yeah, I like the way you sidestepped that Justin Paldo question. But the reason why I brought him up, and we'll move on after this.
Sure.
But Justin Paldo, that's a Ronnie Shields fighter. And he's been with him for 8 or 9 years. And I remember when he first joined the gym, he was sparring my guy, Adam Montequillo Lopez. Right? Now he's a big, filled 135-pounder. And this is what happens, guys, when a fighter listens to his future Hall of Fame trainer rather than thinking that he can do it on his own without listening to the strategy in the corner. So, guys, anyone who wants to criticize my brother Ronnie Shields for the Dave Morrell loss, they can kiss my rear end. Do you have anything to add to that, my friend?
Nah, that's well said, man. And that was impressive, man. He got a knockout with a body shot, right? Was that him?
He whooped him. Like he whooped him.
Yeah.
And Treetop, look, let me just according to everyone, I know, including Samson, he's already been out of the hospital and he's doing fine. So quit being so dramatic, brother. You've been Mr. Negative Ninny ever since you got on the chat. Good to see you, though, my friend. Thank you for being here. And,
yeah, you know.
Heido Galvez, he says, is it true that Floyd Mayweather is going to be fighting Mario Barrios? I haven't heard any update on that, but the last I was told, yes, and that's going to be more than likely one of the fights on Netflix.
Hey, but you know what? It's going to be a big night. We know Mayweather draws a lot of people's interest, especially if he's going to be actually fighting an active fighter and not some gamer or influencer, where the hell he's been fighting for the last couple of years. So it's going to be a big audience again for Netflix. And look, let's hope, because maybe they might pick up some boxing here, man, and that'll help things out in the American market, because Joe knows this, and you guys should know this as well. We need the help. We need all we can get right now.
Yeah, look, guys, we need the platform. And honestly, let's talk about this. I think before we go to the fights coming up on Valentine's Day, and we'll try to make this as quick as possible, I think that Canelo and Turki Al-Sheikh have done the health or our beloved boxing a great disservice, and this may be the nail in the coffin without those big fights on Netflix. Now, think about this. You're obscuring Canelo Alvarez, and you're sticking him for the next 2 years, 4 fights on DAZN. An obscure app that no one cares about in the American market or no one wants. And compare that to the 280 plus million subscribers of Netflix worldwide. Canelo could have been fighting his next 2 years on Netflix. Once again, this really pisses me off. And honestly, that's why I was like gutted to see him sign with Turki Al-Sheikh. Honestly, get your G-Funky, what would have been possibly the response if boxing's biggest star in the American market competes on the biggest mainstream entertainment platform in the world?
It would have been huge, guys, because look, we saw the type of audience that was there to see Jake Paul fight Mike Tyson, who still to this day, man, Mike Tyson, a huge draw. Unbelievable. The guy hasn't had a real fight in what, over 20 years, something like that, Joe, or maybe just under 20 years. And yeah, they were still able to draw a major audience. So you can only imagine, a current fighter like Canelo Alvarez versus Jake Paul being on Netflix. It would have been massive, guys. Like it or not, and I was not one of these guys that was for the fight because it's not competitive. But yeah, it would have brought a lot of eyes to boxing that night for sure.
Look, I don't even care about competitive at this point. I care about knockouts, and I care about big names. If there are 2 big names and it ends in a dramatic knockout, hey, it's what's there not to like? What is not to like with that? Now, once again, I know they're not real fights, but they're going to be real fights on the undercard, obviously.
Yep.
So I'll tell you what, going back to Mayweather Barrios, does the old geezer have a chance against Mario Barrios?
I don't think so, man.
You're being nice when you say I don't think so.
Yeah. He's I know he thinks he can beat him, that's for sure, man. Or he wouldn't be taking the fight. I mean, that's been Mayweather's path the last few years of his career. I don't know when I can't remember the year he retired, but we know damn well he wouldn't be getting in the ring with somebody if he didn't think he was going to beat him. So, but I just don't think he's going to do it, man. The Father Time is undefeated. He hasn't had a real fight with a real boxer in a really long time. And as vulnerable as Barrios can be in there, yeah, I think Mario is just going to be too much, man. We're going to take him out.
You know what, brother? To be honest with you, I can see, and I know Floyd fans aren't going to want to hear this, but I can see, even with all of Mario Barrios's vulnerabilities in the ring, I think this ends like Roy Jones Jr. versus Denis Lebedev.
Oh boy.
Yeah, I said
Yeah.
it. I said it. Guys, I'm sorry. This Floyd, have you seen his reflexes in the gym? Have you seen his reflexes in those exhibition fights?
I haven't, because I haven't watched him, but you tell me about it, Joe, if you've seen it.
Go look at the Gotti. Dude, he has no reflexes left. This is why he fights now behind the high guard, marching forward, doing his best impression of Rocky Marciano.
Yeah, and
He's not using the shoulder roll anymore, and there's a reason for that, because he doesn't have the reflexes any longer.
Yeah, guys, and we see what happens to fighters when the reflexes are gone, man. Like, let's just look at another guy who was on a historical run in his career, Roy Jones Jr. Boy, when those reflexes were gone, it was over, done. Or in the words of our friend who just left, Rick Glaser, Gonzo.
Yeah. Hey, you can stick a fork in him. Yeah. Even in the tri-state area.
Yes,
but guys,
indeed,
let's
man.
shift gears, because we are on borrowed time with our brother, G Funky Boxing, as well. And so Keyshawn Davis, he's going to be in the main event of the evening this Friday night. And guys, I can't wait to see it. It's his first opportunity at the big dance for a WBO title against Denis Berinchyk. And Keyshawn Davis, he just stated to the media that he had a dream. No, it wasn't that kind of dream, but he had a dream that he knocked out Denis Berinchyk in the first round, and he became a big, big star. G Funky, what are the chances of him knocking out a very awkward and stylistic nightmare for most in Denis Berinchyk?
Yeah, those odds are going to be astronomical, especially in the first round. I don't see that happening. You know, if he's going to try to make his dream a reality, he's going to have to be very, very aggressive to do that. And we know Keyshawn Davis is not that kind of guy. And that's no shade towards the guy, but that's just not what he does, you know? So I don't see that happening. I do think he's going to win the fight, though, but it's not going to be easy, man. Don't be surprised, guys, if it's a really tough competitive fight for Davis in there. And as far as what you said, him getting the knockout early and becoming a big star, I mean, that right there, that might be something there, Joe, because we saw his last fight against Gustavo Lemos in his hometown, and boy, that place was packed. It was live. It was a fantastic audience, man. It was really good to see something like that here in the States. When you get a guy who's from the city, the hometown fans pack the place. That's how a lot of stars were born. You know, during a time in boxing, they don't do it that often anymore. But yeah, it was really something, man, to see.
Yeah, I tell you what, guys. You might be surprised with the odds here. According to our favorite book, the BetMGM out of Vegas, Keyshawn Davis is listed as a minus 625. With Denis Berinchyk a plus 450. Guys, I'm sorry. Let me do it in my best, Lupe Contreras voice. Hey, you know, I'm sorry. I just don't hear it.
Hey, give me a second, Joe. I got to step away, okay? Give me 1 second.
Yeah, no problem, guys. No problem, G Funky. I tell you what, guys. Honestly, what do you guys think of those odds? He's a 6-1 betting favorite, and Denis Berinchyk is a 4.25 betting underdog. In my opinion, those odds are way too wide, guys. So if I'm going to bet, I'm going to bet a Keyshawn Davis knockout straddled with a Denis Berinchyk victory straight up. And that yields excellent odds, guys. You can't lose. either way. That is the War Week Boxing Sexy Bet of the Week. And guys, we're really looking forward to seeing all the fights on there. The return of big baby Jared Anderson. Is he going to look like Vladimir Klitschko after getting leveled by Corey Sanders? Jabbing and grabbing, holding on, slow dancing in the center of the ring. Are we going to see him resemble someone who's as nervous as a toothache? Or is he going to actually be or is he going to let his hands go? We'll find out, guys. Also, Vito Mielnicki Jr., our dear friend, he's going to be competing against Connor Coyle in his very first fight as a 160-pound fighter. So, guys, that's all coming up. And then we've got a big card on the 15th. And I think, let's see, it's going to be, isn't it going to be Arnold Barbosa versus, no, when is that going to happen? There is going to be a fight on DAZN on the 15th, the day after. And I'm not sure exactly what it is. Let's look up the schedule, shall we? Hold on, guys. Let's look at the boxing schedule. I've been out of the loop because I've been focused on just programming and making videos and doing all kinds of stuff for my new channel, as well as doing a lot of stuff with several different promoters behind the scenes. So forgive me if I don't know what's coming up on the schedule. Do we have an update on the health of Vanyas? No, but I will. Thank you for reminding me. I will call him, reach out to him either tonight or tomorrow, my friend. But thank you, Big Luke. I appreciate that, man. It's good to see you, my friend. Let's see. Okay, so guys, once again, Dennis Varenchik, that's in New York. It's in Keyshawn Davis. I guess that's why he's a 6-1 betting favorite. And also, guys, don't forget about Xander Zayas, the return of him, facing Slava Spomer, right? And no. Jared Anderson is going to be taking on Mario Scolias. Oh, that it is. February 15th, it was supposed to be Oscar Duarte versus, it's both of those this weekend. First, it's going to be from Manchester, England, Jack Catterall versus Arnold Vavoso Jr. for the vacant WBO junior welterweight interim title, whatever the heck that means, because the champ is still Teofimo Lopez. And guys, honestly, I'll tell you who won't be the winners of that fight: the fans. That's going to be like watching paint dry, guys. Two counterpunchers waiting to get off, right? And then later that evening from Anaheim, California, from the home of the Mighty Ducks, Oscar Duarte. He was supposed to be fighting Regis Prograis, which would have been an excellent style matchup. Instead, he's going to be fighting Miguel Madueño, which should be still a very good, tough, rugged fight. Great style matchup. We'll see what happens, guys. That one's going to be a fun fight. But you know what? I was really looking forward to seeing Duarte versus Prograis, because that is a great style matchup. And that's actually what real matchmaking and promoting looks like. Because let's be honest, the 3 fights that Regis Prograis had with Matchroom Sport, do you remember when they announced signing him? Well, look, I think he's one of the most underrated, most explosive fighters in all of boxing. And what did they do with him? Eddie Hearn stuck him in the worst possible style matchups, 3 consecutive fights that you could have imagined for Regis.
Definitely, man. And I mean, he got him paid. We can give him that. But yeah, arguably lost every fight on that 3-fight deal. I've seen a lot of people the night of the Zorrilla fight that felt like he lost that fight. So yeah.
Oh, you mean in front of the 30 person crowd there?
I know, that was terrible. Yeah, that was terrible.
Yeah, it's because that's not his hometown. His hometown is in Houston, Texas. That's where he was born. But that's not his hometown. His home is in Houston. If they just stick that card in Houston, they sell at least 5,000-6,000 tickets. Yeah. So that's how Eddie Hearn, he's got his finger on the pulse of the U.S. market. And so once again, in comparison, you look at Oscar Duarte versus Regis Prograis, that would have been an excellent style matchup. Someone who's going to come right at Regis, being a pocket counterpuncher and a tough guy, hard puncher. That's what you want to, that's the kind of style matchup you want to see Regis in. Is it too late for Regis, though, G-Funky?
Dude, I think so, man. I do. I thought I heard him say something. He fell down at his house, and that's what happened to him. He like injured a
I've
nerve in his
fallen
neck.
and I can't get up.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know if we'll see Regis on this kind of stage anymore. Maybe he might do like some of these other guys and do the bare knuckle thing. You know, we'll see.
Yeah, I tell you what, guys. And then we've got, it was just announced, Edgar Berlanga is playing second fiddle on a Matchroom Sport fight card to Ammo Williams.
Yeah, that's a head scratcher. But hey, man, Eddie Hearn, best promoter in the game, right?
Oh, Chingao, man. Like, honestly, dude, you can't make this shit up. Can you say you don't know what the hell you're doing in the American market without saying so?
Indeed, man. But Joe, I'm gonna step out, man. I got some things I got to take care of.
What
Yes,
your final thoughts, brother? Can you give your final thoughts about the pay-per-view numbers for Morrell Benavidez?
Well, for those of you that subscribe to me, I already made a quick video about it, and you know, this is exactly what I expected these numbers to be around. I didn't think it was going to go over 100K, and I do see some reports out there saying that it did like 150 or something like that. This is about where I expected it to be. But it's just a shame, Joe, because there was a lot of Canelo blowhards out there on the internet that were screaming for Benavidez to fight Morrell. They said he was ducking him, he was scared, and they were rooting hard for Morrell.
Yep.
And of course, when the time comes, the fight you demand, you don't want to support it. Now, I get it. If you don't got the money for it, that's one thing. But a lot of these guys just claim, well, I'm just not going to pay for it because I don't think it's worth $80, you know? It's like, yeah, but again, it's a fight you asked for. So why not just buy the damn thing and watch it? You wanted to see the fight. You called for it. But we know how boxing fans are, Joe. So I'll just leave it at that, man. But thanks for having me on, man. Appreciate it.
Tell what you funky. We need to do this again very, very soon.
Yes, sir.
Maybe if you have time sometime later on the week or this weekend, my friend. But God bless you. And we love you, man. Thank you for being there. I'll call you later, my friend.
Thank you, Joe. Appreciate it, man.
God bless you, brother. Guys, that was one of the coolest guys that you'll meet in boxing in this biz. And his name is G Funky. Tell you what, we love him on the show. And Heido, welcome to the show. And dude, great question tonight, my friend. He says, do you think PBC's last show will be Tank versus Roach? I don't know. I don't know. That all depends on whether or not Floyd will try and help out his mentor, Al Heyman, and put Mayweather versus Mario Barrios on PBC via Netflix. Now, do I think PBC's last show on Amazon Prime will be Tank versus Roach? No, I know it will be their last fight on PBC Amazon Prime. Now, whether or not they strike a deal with Netflix, that remains to be seen. For the sake of boxing in the American market, let's hope so. Okay, let's hope so. Let's hope he does. And with dates with Jake Paul, MVP Promotions, as well as PBC, that might be something. That very well may be something. But without Canelo, yeah, it's gonna be a tough road to hoe for PBC in the boxing business without Canelo. Without Canelo, boy, I'll tell you what, that's going to be tough. That's going to be tough. But I'll tell you what, we've got about 5 more minutes left because we're only going to be on for an hour. But I tell you what, guys, I'm sorry. I think I'm calling it right now, guys. I think Montes Staniones on April 12th may indeed pull off the upset against a weight-drained Jaron Boots Ennis, who's currently killing himself to try and make 147. This is going to be a very difficult fight for Boots Ennis. Montes Staniones is no joke. And I think this may prove to be fight of the year. And even in loss, whoever is going to lose this fight, it's going to be an excellent fight in which we're all going to want to see a rematch. And it's flying under the radar. Guys, tell your friends about this one. Tell your friends about the big fight card coming up on the 22nd. Tell your friends to tune into ESPN this Friday night. They very well may be viewing the next big star in the American market, Keyshawn Davis. But I tell you what, it's going to be a very difficult fight in which Keyshawn Davis is really going to have to show his ring IQ and how he adapts to a guy who does really well at disrupting your timing and rhythm. His footwork, his jab, his angles, he is very proficient at disrupting his opponent's timing, rhythm, speed, movement, all of it. So we'll see. Keyshawn Davis, he's got his work cut out for him. In my opinion, he cannot try to just time and counter this guy. He's got to go after him. And if he goes right after Dennis Baranchyk, I think he has a very good chance of beating him and maybe even stopping him in the mid to late rounds. But, guys, that's what he has to do. Now, Michael, welcome to the show, sir. Good to see you, my friend. And he says, Regis has not been good for too many years. Look, I'll say this. It's been 2 years since or a year and a half since he's had that Matchroom Sport contract. And all three of those fights were against guys who are going to force him out of the pocket and force him to take the lead. That's not what he does well. A lot like Josh Taylor. You force him out of the pocket, you force him to take the lead. Yeah, he's going to look like dog feces. Also, Teofimo Lopez is one of those guys. And, this is the reason why many people use the term exposed in boxing. Because if you have that deficiency, guess what? Everyone's going to use it. So, and against Oscar Duarte, this is a guy who only knows how to fight one way, and that's coming right at you. In my opinion, you stick Regis in the ring against Jose Ramirez, Regis knocks him into next week into retirement. In my opinion, this is not the last we've seen of old man Regis from Houston. Oh, yeah, Michael. I tell you what, brother. Staniones, this is going to be a really difficult fight, my friend. Benavidez. Once again, he says, are we seeing the downfall of Eddie Hearn? Eddie Hearn doesn't seem like a top priority at DAZN any longer. Well, that's right. Because who's his big attraction? Anthony Joshua? Yeah, how's he looking right now? He is one fight away, one knockout away from being in the retirement column. He's one knockout away from being in retirement, being put out to pasture. And he's done a lot of great things for this sport, Anthony Joshua. Eddie Hearn, not doing a very good job of building attractions. And to be honest, I don't think he cares. I think all he cares about at this point are getting TV dates. But yes, you're right. If you don't have the stars, you're going to be put on the back end. Canelo Alvarez, once again, guys, keep in mind, he's with Turki Al-Sheikh. That means it's going to be Canelo Alvarez Promotions in cooperation with Frank Warren and Queensberry Promotions. Guys, keep in mind, Queensberry Promotions is the lead promoter on every single Turki Al-Sheikh event. The only one in which he wasn't was Anthony Joshua. He was a co-promoter. Yeah, he was a lead promoter for that one. The only one where he wasn't a lead promoter was, I think, Terrence Crawford versus Israel Madrimov? Otherwise, Frank Warren is the lead promoter on all these events, guys. I don't know if you realize that. And without any stars, and he definitely doesn't have any stars in the American market. I'm sorry, you may be a fan of Shakur Stevenson or Jaron Boots Ennis or Bam Rodriguez, but they're not big stars. And look how he's treating the best fighter on his roster. Bam Rodriguez. He's from San Antonio. ProBox just had a fight card there. Oh, hold on. Sylvia, welcome to the show, ma'am. Good to see you. Do you believe Top Rank is going to DAZN? People want boxing to be in DAZN, but they don't realize nobody watches DAZN. Exactly. Thank you. With all these promoters going to DAZN, it's not good because not enough dates. It's not only not enough dates, it's not enough eyeballs on the product. Why would you want to obscure our product, our best fighters, on an obscure app that no one knows about, no one cares about, no one has seen in the American market? Keep in mind, guys, this is what happens when you have less than 500,000 subscribers in the American market. Compare that to Netflix. That's what Canelo got on board with. He got on board with Turkey. And once again, I love what Turkey Al-Sheikh is trying to do, but why would you put stock in DAZN? Why would you be all in with DAZN? You could sell your product easily to Netflix. Come on, this is a no-brainer. Sylvia, right now, you're the leading candidate for the comment of the evening. Oh my gosh, tell me about it. And she's got the beat here, guys. The DAZN app is not very user-friendly and prices keep increasing. That's right. And you know why? Because no one's watching it. So basically, for all of the mamons who continue to steal everything, including the subscriptions to ESPN Plus and DAZN, your $25 a month subscription price is basically for the guys who are stealing it. And Iceman says, yep, getting paid more with Turkey. Yep, isn't that nice for the health of the sport? When are any of these fighters going to look out for the sport that has made them multimillionaires? Again, is it making a difference? Is it making a difference, guys? Turkey Al-Sheikh is lowering pay-per-views, but all that's doing is lowering his profit margin. Because let's just face it, guys, it could be $10 or it could be $100. If you've already made up your mind that you're going to steal it, you're not going to pay $5. That doesn't make any difference. And that's the problem with this. All it's done is lower his profit margin. It hasn't expanded his audience. If he really were interested in expanding the sport in the American market, one, he would stage more fights here. Two, he would put it on a bigger, more widespread, more mainstream platform like Netflix. In my opinion, guys, this very well may be. Like, look, the Canelo fights absent from the American market on a mainstream platform could very well spell the death of mainstream boxing in the American market. So we'll see what happens, guys. We'll see what happens. It's like what you said, Turkey Al-Sheikh made the Godfather deal. That's right. You know, make him an offer he can't refuse. Yep. And Canelo would be stupid to turn that down. And this is what's wrong with boxing, once again. Because everyone is looking out for number one, and no one gives two shits about the health of the sport in the American market. And it's the same thing with Top Rank and Bob Arum. They were supposed to be on Netflix as well. And he said, Turkey, yep, Turkey made us an offer we couldn't say no to. Yep. And so he wants all his eggs in the DAZN basket. But I tell you what, guys, those eggs are about to get scrambled because no one cares. And once again, it's age-old adage, guys. If a tree falls in the woods and no one is there to hear it, did it actually happen? In other words, who cares? It's become a fringe and niche pastime in the American market. And there's only one way out of this. You've got to put the best product on a larger, mainstream, widely recognized platform for entertainment. That's Netflix. And that's a platform that you don't have to put on pay-per-view. So there it is, guys. Once again, I urge, and once again, we're going to be going on tomorrow evening with Adam Montequillo-Lopez. And we're going to talk about, I'm sorry, I think it's tomorrow morning. I think it's tomorrow morning we're going to be going live with Adam Montequillo-Lopez. And we're going to get his take on the fights coming up this weekend. And yeah, I like that metaphor also, brother. The chickens have come home to roost. Thunderdome. I don't even know what Thunderdome is, my friend. He goes, saying they're trying to do away with the Ali Act. No, they wouldn't. Why would they do that? That's the only thing to protecting these fighters from promoters and networks ripping them off again. You have to protect the promoter or the fighters, guys. So now with the Muhammad Ali Boxing Reform Act, you have to be transparent. That means you have to show them by law where the money's going and how much of a percentage of everything they're getting. Idol says, if Turkey TKO League comes into fruition, I can't see it being on DAZN. Dana White and TKO are too smart to see DAZN is not a good platform. We'll see, brother, but he's got 10% stock, 10% ownership of DAZN. He doesn't have 10% ownership of Netflix. That's the problem, guys. That's the problem. And honestly, it's a huge quandary, but it's not my problem, and I'm not getting paid enough for that. So, hey, guys, enjoy the fights while we can. Who cares where they are at this point? It's not worth belly aching about, and I tell you what, I love the schedule. Who cares if mainstream fans don't see it? Obviously, Turkey Al-Sheikh doesn't. It's not true. I can already tell you that with great certainty, my friend. That's not true. But I will look into it, brother. I will look into it for my brother Iceman. He's a good dude. My brother in Christ. But guys, I think that's going to just about do it. Hold on. Sylvia says, does Turkey own the ring with his money, or is it the government's money? That's a very good question, but I can tell you that with great certainty, it's the government's money. They are really trying to annex boxing as their own. And eventually you're going to see every big event in Saudi Arabia. Yep. I'll look into that, my friend. But Sylvia, yeah, excellent questions this evening, Sylvia. Kudos to you, sister. But guys, I think that's going to just about do it. I'm going to have to step away. But guys, don't forget to subscribe to my new channel, God's Perfect Love. We're going to be going live again on Friday with my brother Jacob DeLeon, the best videographer in boxing, and he is my brother in Christ. God bless you, my friend. And we're going to be going live again this Friday evening before all of the top rank boxing card big time fights start. So look for that, guys, Friday after work. And on that note, guys, on behalf of my brother Rick Glaser, on behalf of my brother G Funky Boxing, I'm Joseph Heron. You've been listening to World Week Boxing. Have a great evening, everybody.
I wanna get out of here.
Show.
How you doing? You too can smell manly if you listen to Real Talk with Rick Glaser.